This is Chip Maxwell, and you're listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. David and the team open with reflections on the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk and what it says about America's growing polarization. From there, the focus shifts to Becky Swansburg's insights at the annual September Speaker Series, the Federal Reserve's looming rate cuts, U.S.-China tensions over TikTok, and pension unrest in Europe. David, normally, as in this morning, we're recording on a Wednesday. Last week, we had to record on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, Charlie Kirk was assassinated, a leading figure on the right in a conservative world in America. Your thoughts?
Very sad, obviously, a very sad state of affairs. And this is a polarizing figure for a lot of people. I just think it's sad because all he did was go have open conversations, in particular in college campuses, where he would just invite debate. He would let people have the mic and put their positions up there. If you disagree
with me, come to the front of the line, I think was one of his mantras.
And so he's willing to have debates, but, it's sad. And even my adult children, they lean left of me for sure. I would tell you that. And we've had some discussions on it, but and not all pleasant, frankly. It's just, it's just sad that we're at this state now in America where people resort to this type of violence. So, just pray it doesn't happen anymore, but, pray for his family.
On a brighter note, wow, we hit a home run earlier this week, David. We had our third annual September Speaker Series featuring Becky Swansburg, CEO of Stonewood Financial, and a recognized leader in the field of legislative risk. What on earth might happen on Capitol Hill that could affect your finances, your retirement? It was, as I say, it was a home run.
Yeah, I think it was a great event. Becky delivers a lot of different keynotes. Now, I've been blessed to share the stage. I actually joked at the event that she's sort of my competitor because sometimes people will call to hire a keynote on tax talks for conferences, and she's one of the people that will get a slot, or I'll take a slot that she might have got otherwise. Yeah. And but we're on this same circuit sometimes at same conferences, and so I have spoke before her. I've followed her.
One time, the camaraderie between you two is obvious.
Yeah, it's funny because one time I spoke at a conference, and I actually had some pizza dough. And for those who don't know, I used to own restaurants, and I literally came out spinning pizzas to start the talk to make a point.
Top
and I'm, sometimes I'm known to use props like a prop comic, and then I come off stage and just kind of toss the dough. It's like, follow that. So she's always reminding me of that. But yeah, I think she did a fantastic job talking about what we talk about on the show all the time. In fact, we sometimes get mail that says, "Why do you talk politics so much?" et cetera. Right? Well, because the legislative bodies, both locally and federally, when they institute or change rules or propose new policies, that's going to have outcomes that are going to affect our clients in ways that they don't think about, from how their health care service is delivered, how government benefits are delivered, veterans benefits, how you're going to be taxed, whether or not you're going to get the Social Security you were promised, et cetera. There's so many things that you have to pay attention to this. So I thought she did a really good job because we talk to our clients, but sometimes when you have a reputable third party, and she is considered kind of the authority on these topics. So anyway, I thought she did a great job. And a shout out to the Relevant out there in Elkhorn, beautiful center. I'd only been in there for one event prior. Beautiful facility.
It's a great setup. She had a little sass, a little spice in her presentation, too. She actually made tax policy entertaining. So that was great. Into the news we go, David. Well, as I mentioned, we're recording on Wednesday morning. This afternoon, the Federal Reserve will have its meeting. Here's a Fox Business headline. Fed expected to cut rates for first time in 2025 amid Trump pressure. Is that the way you see it in your crystal ball?
Yeah, I believe you'll get a rate cut this afternoon. So by the time this show airs, when you're listening to it, that would have already happened.
How bold will the Fed be?
I just think it's a one cut here, and that's kind of priced in. And the futures market are usually pretty accurate. There's about a 6 or 7% chance as of this morning that they would do a 50 basis point cut. It's exactly, ironically, 1 year ago, September 17th, a year ago, that they did a 50 basis point cut. when they said that things were not bad, right? And that was, we talked about if that was political pre-election, et cetera, et cetera. So they could go 50 basis points, but here's the thing. The argument is some folks are arguing, look, we got stock prices at all-time high. You say employment picture is good. The economy's firing all cylinders. They should be,
fix it.
Yeah, they should. There's even calls to hike. And there's actually in the futures market about a 1.5% chance that they surprise and hike. Now, I don't see that happening as of now, but again, I've learned nothing really surprises me in this business. What we do is we don't try to be the great prognosticator and predict these things. We're gonna react in real time, because what we're going to be focused on is his speech after the announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern, is what the language says, right? Because how aggressive are they going to do? Now, my modeling shows 3 cuts between now and the end of the year. So that's probably 25, three meetings in a row, and then an additional 3 cuts next year. So that'd be 150 basis points. They would lower the Fed rate. And if you count last year, now we're a full year out, so it's really not part of this cycle, but the 50 basis points then, that would be 200 basis points down. If we, in fact, are trying to target inflation, which was their primary mandate, you wouldn't do that. But they have a dual mandate. Congress handed them that a while back, and that is unemployment. That is what they're scared about. I've been talking about that for a while. So they are starting to see under the hood. We talked about last week over almost 1 million jobs that didn't really get created in 2024, right? So those things are vanishing. That is what they're scared of, and that's why I think they're going to aggressively hike all the way through a good chunk of next year.
If the Fed did raise the rate, the president is in London right now, but we would feel the shockwave from the eruption from the president all the way over here.
This is an old reference. It's going all the way back to a movie in the 80s called Scanners, but you may see Trump's head explode.
Jerome Too Late Powell, I think that was the nickname he's hung on the Fed director. All right, well, we'll see what happens there, and we'll analyze that next week. In the meantime, from London to China, here's another Fox Business headline. Bessent, of course, Scott Bessent is Treasury Secretary. Bessent says U.S., China have framework on TikTok deal. Trump, Xi to talk Friday to finalize. So China is using TikTok for leverage in trade negotiations?
Well, both sides are. I think Trump has made it apparent they gave him 2 extensions, right, since Congress said, hey, you can't own this company. And then Trump kind of gave an executive order to extend it not once but twice. And from what I understand, and I do have some friends that are some decently high up places, and again, I'm just paraphrasing from somebody's ears, that Trump was willing to let TikTok go dark for a period of like 30 days. So that, and that's a lot of revenue, a company that size, right? If that were to happen, and maybe that's what's pulling them to the table. Again, I just think we need to have a playing field that we know what the rules are. We've had tariffs on China forever. People sometimes don't know this is not a new thing. Now, the crazy whipsaw of how much the tariffs are and tit for tat and retaliatory speech tariffs, it drives me as a business owner nuts. But we need to know what the rules of the game are. And if we're going to use tariff revenue, as I spoke about the speaker event, to replace income tax, then I'm all for it. But if we're going to do it on top of it, then yeah, I hate taxation, and taxation is theft. Let's go. And we can have that debate all day.
So the complaint, I guess, is that TikTok has been a conduit for propaganda from China and data collection running back to China. But apparently that concern will be alleviated after this deal. In reality,
yes. And I don't have the app on my phone. I've never been on TikTok. I don't know what it's like. But TikTok in China is almost an educational app. It's a how-to app. It's philosophy, it's music, it's classical trainings, it's everything they want their kids to be understanding, how to advance stem cell. But they do it in a unique way, the way they filter videos out in the same format, if you will. They just choose to use it here to dumb down our population, sadly. But I mean, that's, if you just watch it, that's what it is. And we're in the great dumbing down of America right now. Our education lobby has, we've added so many bureaucrats to it, but we've not increased education at all. And anyway, you're going to get me on a rant.
Well, we're bouncing around the globe this first segment here. Back to Europe, David, and something you shared with the team, chart regarding French pensioners. Why did you share this with us?
So if you don't realize, Europe has a much heavier pension still laden system than we do here in the U.S. We originally had that, right, from the industrial age through, and we kind of, in the 1980s, realized these companies could not afford the pensions, and they started been weaning off. The only real pensions we have left are primarily government jobs, and those are going to go away, frankly, in at some point, in my humble opinion, because it's just math. So what's happened now is the younger workers, austerity measures have been put in place. They're not going to be promised the same pension. They're not making enough money. Now French pensioners, because of the COLA adjustments in there, in retirement are making more than their counterparts actively doing those same jobs they did in the workplace. You want to talk about civil unrest, and that's a recipe for disaster. And again, countries that do this usually can make it about 220 years. How old are we as a country, Chip?
Oops.
Are we past our extended lifestyle?
We're about to celebrate our 250th.
Yeah. So again, you can't promise things you can't deliver on. You can kick that can for so much time, but $37 trillion in debt says we don't have much longer till we're going to have social unrest here. And you see that, of course, we talked about, what happened to Charlie Kirk. This political unrest, we need to solve the hard problems.
Thank you for listening to the Retire Smart podcast with David Brooks. If you want to learn how to generate lifetime income, reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, visit retiresmartpodcast.com. And make sure to subscribe to keep up with new episodes every week. Becky Swansburg and Stonewood Financial are not clients and were not compensated for her references on this show or any apparent endorsement that it might imply. However, Becky Swansburg was paid a $10,000 fee for appearing at a speaking engagement sponsored by Retire Smart.